Hey there. Welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Today, we're diving into a tough but important topic: cutting ties with people in your life, even when they're family or close friends. We all want to maintain healthy relationships, but sometimes, for the sake of our mental health, we need to make the hard choice to walk away. So, if you're feeling unsure or stuck in a toxic relationship, this video is for you. Let's talk about the 9 signs that might mean it's time to say goodbye. Sign number 1. Constant drama and conflict. Alright, let's get into it. The first sign that it might be time to cut ties with someone is if every time you're around them, there's constant drama or conflict. Now, I'm not talking about occasional disagreements that happen in any relationship, but I'm referring to the ongoing, never-ending chaos that drains your energy and affects your peace of mind. This is a huge red flag that something isn't right. Healthy relationships are meant to uplift and support you. They should provide comfort, security, and a sense of belonging. But when you find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, trying to avoid the next argument or navigating endless emotional storms, it's a clear indicator that the relationship is toxic. This kind of energy can leave you feeling emotionally drained and mentally exhausted, and it will start to take a toll on your overall well-being. You may have noticed that every interaction with this person feels like a battle. Whether it's over small things, misunderstandings, or big issues, nothing ever seems to get resolved. Instead, it feels like you're stuck in a cycle of constant conflict, where nothing ever changes. This may leave you asking yourself questions like, why do we keep fighting about the same thing? Or why does it feel like I'm always on the defensive? If you've been experiencing these feelings, you're not alone, and it's completely valid to consider whether this relationship is worth keeping. Let's break it down a little further. Drama and conflict usually stem from deeper issues, whether it's unresolved emotional wounds, jealousy, insecurity, or manipulation. Sometimes, people thrive on drama because it's how they get attention or control over the situation. They may start arguments to draw you in or stir things up because, for them, conflict is more comfortable than peace. And while that might give them a sense of control or validation, it can leave you feeling helpless and frustrated. If you find yourself constantly trying to fix things, or you feel like you're always putting in the effort to keep the peace, that imbalance is unhealthy. A healthy relationship should be mutually supportive. Both people should feel heard, understood, and cared for. If you're the one who's always making compromises or trying to smooth things over, it's a sign that the relationship is one-sided. In these situations, it's easy to feel like you're walking away from something that once mattered, but the truth is, you're not walking away from a relationship that brings you joy or fulfillment. You're walking away from the chaos, the negativity, and the emotional weight that's been holding you down. It's essential to remember that your peace of mind and emotional health should come first. Constant drama and conflict create an environment where your mental well-being is compromised. No matter how much you care about someone, if they're bringing this kind of chaos into your life, it's okay to step back and prioritize your own needs. Life is too short to spend it in a constant state of emotional turmoil. If every interaction feels like a battle, it may be time to let go and make space for relationships that nurture your soul rather than drain it. Sign number 2. You feel drained after every interaction. Let's talk about another clear sign that it might be time to cut ties. If you leave every conversation or meet up feeling emotionally drained. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and walked away feeling like all your energy was sucked out of you? Maybe it's not just physical exhaustion, but more of an emotional depletion. If this sounds familiar, it's a major indicator that the relationship is unhealthy. Friendships, family, and any kind of meaningful relationship are supposed to be a source of support, comfort, and joy. They should lift you up, make you feel connected, and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. But when you're constantly walking away from interactions feeling empty or like you've just run a marathon, it's a red flag that something is off. Here's the thing: emotional energy is real. Just like physical energy, our emotional energy can be depleted by stressful or draining interactions. When you're with someone who consistently leaves you feeling tired, overwhelmed, or emotionally unsettled, it's a sign that the dynamic between you two isn't balanced or healthy. This kind of emotional exhaustion can have long-term effects on your mental health, leading to stress, anxiety, and even burnout. Now, we all have bad days, right? There are moments when we need to vent, express frustrations, or just talk through difficult emotions. That's normal, and it's okay to have tough conversations with people you care about. But if every single interaction with this person feels like an emotional weight, something deeper may be going on. Maybe they're constantly unloading their problems onto you without offering support in return, or perhaps they're so caught up in negativity that being around them makes you feel heavy. Over time, this kind of emotional imbalance can leave you feeling worn out, discouraged, and isolated. Think about how you feel when you're around this person. Do you feel energized, happy, and uplifted? Or do you find yourself feeling drained, anxious, or mentally exhausted? It's important to take note of these feelings. If you're constantly feeling emotionally depleted after being around someone, it's essential to take a step back and reflect on the impact the relationship is having on your well-being. A healthy relationship, whether it's with family, friends, or anyone else, should nurture your spirit, not drain it. You should feel heard, supported, and respected. But if you're always the one giving, listening, and carrying the emotional load, you're bound to burn out. It's not your job to constantly be the emotional caretaker for someone else, especially if they aren't offering the same level of care and support in return. When you find that a relationship leaves you feeling empty and exhausted, it's okay to set boundaries or even let that relationship go. You deserve relationships that energize you, that bring out the best in you, and that leave you feeling stronger, not weaker. Protecting your emotional health is essential, and sometimes that means walking away from connections that no longer serve you in a positive way. Sign number 3, disrespect and lack of boundaries. Let's talk about something that can really impact the health of any relationship: disrespect and a lack of boundaries. If someone constantly disrespects your boundaries, whether that's your time, personal space, or emotions, that's a major warning sign. And honestly, it's a relationship killer. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. They're like the rules of engagement that help maintain respect, trust, and personal well-being. They ensure that both parties in the relationship know what's okay and what's not, and they protect your physical, emotional, and mental space. But when someone keeps crossing those boundaries, it creates an environment of disrespect and imbalance. Think about it. Have you ever had someone in your life who regularly ignores your needs or pushes you beyond your comfort zone? Maybe they show up uninvited, take up your time without asking, or demand emotional support when you're not in a place to give it. It can even be as simple as belittling your feelings or making you feel guilty for setting boundaries in the first place. If you're constantly having to defend your limits or feel bad for having them, something's wrong. The real issue with this behavior is that it shows a lack of respect for who you are and what you need. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual understanding and respect for each other's individual needs and space. When someone repeatedly disregards those needs, it shows they're either unwilling or unable to value you properly. They may see you as an afterthought, thinking that their wants, feelings, or comfort always take precedence over yours. Now, setting boundaries can be hard, especially with people close to you, like family or friends. It might feel uncomfortable or even awkward to say, "Hey, this doesn't work for me," but the truth is, boundaries are necessary. They're not just about protecting yourself from harm, but about maintaining a sense of self-respect. When someone constantly ignores your boundaries or belittles them, it's a sign they're not treating you the way you deserve to be treated. If you've already had conversations with this person about your boundaries, and they continue to ignore or violate them, it might be time to seriously reconsider the connection. A relationship that disregards your boundaries will ultimately wear you down. You'll start to feel less like yourself, and more like you're just a vessel for their needs. That's not what healthy relationships are about. And listen, you have every right to set boundaries, whether it's about how you spend your time, what you're comfortable with emotionally, or what you need in terms of space. Anyone who truly cares about you will respect those boundaries and understand that they are a reflection of your values, not an attack on them. If they belittle or dismiss them, then it's clear they're not prioritizing your well-being. Respecting boundaries isn't just a nice thing to do, it's essential. If you're constantly dealing with someone who doesn't respect your boundaries, it may be time to ask yourself whether this relationship is worth continuing. Protect your space, protect your time, and most importantly, protect your emotional health. Sign number 4, manipulative behavior. Now, let's talk about something that can be really damaging in any relationship: manipulative behavior. This is a big one, and it can show up in many different forms, like guilt-tripping, gaslighting, or controlling behavior. If you feel like you're constantly being played, manipulated, or forced into things you're uncomfortable with, that's a huge red flag that the person you're dealing with isn't looking out for your best interests. In fact, they might be taking advantage of you. Let's break it down a little. Manipulation often starts subtly. It can begin with small gestures that make you feel guilty for setting boundaries or questioning their actions. Maybe they make you feel like you're being unreasonable when you speak up or accuse you of being selfish when you assert your needs. Guilt tripping is a classic form of manipulation. You might hear things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me," or "You know how much I need you." These statements are meant to make you feel bad about setting limits, and eventually, they create a sense of obligation that doesn't really exist. Another manipulative tactic is gaslighting. This is when someone twists your words or makes you doubt your own perception of reality. They might deny things they said or did, leaving you feeling confused and second-guessing yourself. For example, they could say, "I never said that," even though you know they did, or they might make you feel like you're overreacting when you're simply trying to address an issue. Over time, gaslighting erodes your confidence and makes it hard to trust your own thoughts and feelings. It's a cruel tactic designed to make you doubt yourself and question your sanity. Then, there's controlling behavior. A manipulative person might try to control what you do, who you see, or even how you think. They may make subtle or not so subtle attempts to dictate your choices, like pressuring you into making decisions you're uncomfortable with or constantly criticizing your actions in a way that makes you feel like you can't do anything right. This isn't about caring for you or offering helpful advice. It's about controlling the narrative to serve their own needs or desires. If you're feeling like you're always walking on eggshells around someone, second-guessing your every move or word, or feeling forced into situations that make you uncomfortable, that's a clear sign of manipulation. And here's the truth. This behavior isn't about them caring for you or having your best interests at heart. It's about them trying to maintain control and get what they want at your expense. Healthy relationships are built on trust, respect, and mutual support. When someone manipulates you, they undermine these values and make you feel like your feelings, needs, and boundaries don't matter. They create a dynamic where you feel small, uncertain, and unable to speak up for yourself without fear of retaliation or guilt. If you're experiencing manipulation in any form, it's important to recognize it and take action. You deserve to be in relationships where you feel safe, valued, and respected. If someone is manipulating you, it's a clear sign that they're not looking out for your well-being. In fact, they may be doing the opposite, using you to fulfill their own needs while disregarding yours. Sign number 5. You're the only one putting in effort. Let's talk about something that can really weigh you down in any relationship: the feeling that you're the only one putting in effort. Relationships should be a two-way street. Both people should be equally invested, making time for each other and contributing to the connection. But if you find yourself constantly reaching out, making plans, and doing all the work to maintain the relationship, while the other person just takes without giving back, that's a major red flag. In healthy relationships, both parties show care and commitment. There's a mutual give and take, a balance where both people are putting in effort to keep things strong. But if you're always the one texting first, suggesting meetups, and planning activities while the other person doesn't seem to put in any effort, it's not just disappointing, it's draining. This one-sided dynamic can be exhausting. You might start to feel like you're chasing someone who isn't as interested in maintaining the connection as you are. You're doing all the emotional labor, keeping the conversation going and trying to nurture the bond, while the other person doesn't reciprocate in any meaningful way. Over time, this can leave you feeling unappreciated, taken for granted, and even resentful. Think about it. How do you feel when you're the only one reaching out? Do you feel excited to hear back from them, or do you get frustrated because you're always the one making the effort? If you're constantly the one initiating, it can start to feel like you're not being valued for your time and energy. A relationship should bring both people a sense of fulfillment, not leave one person doing all the work. The thing is, people who truly care about you will show it. They'll make an effort to be present, just like you do. It doesn't have to be equal in every way, but there should be a balance. If you're the only one making the effort, it's a sign that the relationship may not be as important to the other person as it is to you. The truth is, relationships take work from both sides. And if you're always the one doing all the work to keep the connection alive, you're left feeling drained and undervalued. This type of dynamic isn't sustainable. You deserve relationships where both people are invested and willing to put in the effort to nurture the connection. So, if you're constantly giving but not receiving, it might be time to reassess the relationship. Healthy, balanced relationships require effort from both sides. If it's all on your shoulders, it may be time to let go and make space for relationships that are more balanced, where effort, care, and respect are mutual. Sign number 6, they never apologize. Let's talk about a crucial sign that shouldn't be overlooked. They never apologize. One of the biggest signs of toxicity in any relationship is a lack of accountability. When someone repeatedly hurts you or crosses your boundaries but refuses to apologize, it shows a lack of respect for you and your feelings. And that's not something that should be ignored. Now, we all make mistakes. We all slip up and say things we don't mean or act out of frustration. Apologizing is a natural part of repairing and maintaining healthy relationships. It's how we acknowledge that we've hurt someone and take responsibility for our actions. But when someone never apologizes, even after clearly causing you pain, that's a huge red flag. Think about it. Have you ever found yourself hurt by someone's words or actions, and when you tried to express your feelings, they either ignored it or made excuses for their behavior? Maybe they said, "It's not a big deal," or "You're overreacting," or worse, they completely dismissed how you felt. When this happens over and over again, it creates a toxic environment. It sends the message that your feelings don't matter, and that the other person isn't willing to take responsibility for their actions. A sincere apology is not just about saying, "I'm sorry," it's about recognizing the impact of your actions and making an effort to change. If someone can't or won't apologize, it means they're not willing to acknowledge their behavior or the hurt they caused. They may even try to deflect blame onto you, making you feel like you're the problem instead of them owning up to their mistakes. Here's the thing. Accountability is key in any healthy relationship. When someone apologizes, it shows they're willing to be vulnerable, admit when they're wrong, and take steps to make things right. Without this level of accountability, there's no real growth in the relationship. You're left in a cycle where you're constantly hurt, and no healing ever takes place. If you're in a relationship with someone who never apologizes, even when they know they've hurt you, it's a clear sign that they're not respecting you or the relationship. They may be too prideful, too self-centered, or simply unwilling to acknowledge the damage they've caused. But either way, it's a toxic dynamic that won't lead to any real healing or improvement. You deserve to be in a relationship where your feelings are valued and where both parties are willing to take responsibility for their actions. If you're constantly giving forgiveness without ever receiving an apology, it's time to reconsider whether this relationship is serving your emotional well-being. Sign number 7. They make you question yourself. Here's another sign that often goes unnoticed. They make you question yourself. Have you ever found yourself constantly doubting your worth, your decisions, or even your beliefs when you're around a certain person? If the answer is yes, that's a huge red flag. Healthy relationships should build your confidence, not tear it down. When you're in a relationship where someone constantly challenges your thoughts or makes you second-guess your actions, it creates an atmosphere of uncertainty and self-doubt. This kind of behavior can come in many forms, like constantly criticizing you, making you feel insecure about the choices you make, or belittling your opinions and feelings. Over time, this can erode your self-esteem and make you question your own judgment. It might start off small. Perhaps they make a comment about your appearance, your career choices, or even how you handle your emotions. At first, it may seem like they're just offering advice or helping you improve. But if these comments become frequent or more harsh, they begin to chip away at your confidence. They may start to make you feel like you're never good enough or like your perspective on life isn't valid. One of the most damaging aspects of this is the effect it has on your sense of self. You begin to question everything about yourself, your decisions, your boundaries, even your values. Instead of feeling empowered in your choices, you start feeling small, unsure, and like you need their approval to feel worthy. That's not a sign of a healthy relationship. It's a toxic dynamic that ultimately leaves you feeling lost and dependent on their validation. Healthy relationships are meant to lift you up. They encourage you to grow, to believe in yourself, and to trust your instincts. When you're with someone who genuinely cares about you, they'll support your decisions, even if they don't always agree with them. They won't undermine your self-worth or try to manipulate your thoughts. They'll respect your autonomy and be there to help you grow, not make you feel like you're constantly falling short. If you're in a relationship with someone who consistently makes you question yourself, it's time to take a step back and assess the impact it's having on your emotional well-being. You deserve to be around people who affirm your worth and encourage you to be the best version of yourself. If you're being made to feel like you're never enough, it may be time to walk away from that toxic dynamic. Sign number 8. They always play the victim. Let's dive into another major red flag. They always play the victim. If you notice that no matter what happens, this person always positions themselves as the victim, it's time to take a closer look. A person who never takes responsibility for their actions and constantly blames you or others for everything that goes wrong is likely engaging in emotional manipulation. At first, it might seem like they're just going through a rough patch or that they're genuinely struggling. We all go through difficult times, and it's natural to vent and seek support. But when someone consistently blames others for their problems or failures, without ever acknowledging their role in the situation, it's a sign of toxic behavior. They deflect responsibility, making everyone around them feel like they're the ones at fault. It's an exhausting cycle that never leads to real resolution. For example, if there's an issue or conflict between you and this person, they might twist the narrative to make it seem like you're the one causing all the problems, even if they were the one who instigated the situation. They might say things like, "You always do this to me," or, "I wouldn't act this way if you didn't treat me like this." They create a story where they're constantly the innocent party and everyone else is to blame for their misery. This behavior is emotionally manipulative because it keeps the focus on them and their feelings, while your emotions and needs get ignored. It also keeps you stuck in a cycle of guilt, where you're made to feel responsible for their hurt or discomfort, even when you're not. They play on your empathy, and over time, you might start to feel like it's your fault for their unhappiness or their reactions. Healthy relationships are about mutual accountability. When something goes wrong, both parties should be able to admit their mistakes, take responsibility for their actions, and work toward finding a solution. But when someone always plays the victim, they avoid accountability and make you feel like everything is your fault. It's a way of keeping the power in their hands and controlling the narrative. If you're always in a relationship where this person is playing the victim card, it's important to recognize the manipulation at play. They're using your compassion against you, keeping you in a position where you feel obligated to fix things or take on the burden of their emotions. This kind of behavior isn't healthy. It's a form of emotional manipulation that keeps you stuck in their toxic cycle. Remember, a healthy relationship involves both people being accountable for their actions and supporting each other through challenges. If someone is constantly playing the victim, it's time to seriously consider whether they're contributing to your well-being or draining you. Sign number 9. They bring out the worst in you. Finally, let's talk about a sign that's often overlooked but incredibly important. They bring out the worst in you. Think about it. When you're around this person, do you find yourself acting in ways you don't like? Whether it's getting angry, frustrated, anxious, or behaving in a way that feels out of character, it's a clear indication that the relationship is not healthy. Healthy relationships should inspire the best version of yourself. When you're with people who truly care about you, they should make you feel at ease, supported, and confident. They shouldn't make you feel like you have to act out of frustration, defensiveness, or anxiety just to protect yourself or cope with the situation. But if being around them consistently brings out negative emotions, it's time to reflect on whether this relationship is serving you in a positive way. Maybe you find yourself getting more irritable or snapping at others when you're with this person. Or perhaps you feel drained and overwhelmed after every conversation. These are signs that the dynamic between you and this person is toxic. Over time, these negative emotions can take a toll on your mental and emotional well-being, making you feel like you're losing control over how you react. If you're constantly feeling anxious or on edge around them, it could be because they create an environment where you don't feel safe to express yourself. Whether it's through criticism, manipulation, or disrespect, they're creating conditions that make it difficult for you to remain calm and balanced. Instead of feeling calm and grounded, you find yourself overwhelmed and unsure of how to act. You deserve to be around people who bring out the best in you, not the worst. Relationships should empower you to grow and be your true self, not make you feel like you're constantly battling your emotions. If someone triggers you into becoming someone you don't like, it's a clear sign that the relationship is toxic. In the end, you want to surround yourself with people who bring peace and positivity into your life. If you find that someone consistently brings out negative emotions in you, whether it's anger, frustration, or anxiety, it's time to reconsider the relationship and think about what's best for your emotional health. Cutting ties with family or friends isn't easy, but sometimes it's the best decision for your peace of mind and happiness. Remember, you deserve relationships that bring out the best in you. If you're facing any of these signs, it might be time to think about whether that person should stay in your life. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. You're not alone in this. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.